and once again it's Fibber McGee and Molly time. Fibber McGee and Molly. The dramatic story of a woman with her faith in a man.
Oh, sure.
And a man with his faith in a newspaper. Will something exciting, unusual, or momentous take place in the little frame house at 79 Wistful Vista tonight? Or is that expecting too much? Yes, I guess it's expecting too much. Anyway, here they are, Fibber McGee and Molly.
Anything interesting in the paper, dearie?
Well, here's an interesting article on crop surpluses, Molly.
You don't say.
Yeah. Now, take corn, for instance.
Certainly, we can take it and we can dish it out.
Hey, I'm serious. This writer says that if conditions keep up, the small farmer will be completely annihilated.
Oh.
Hey, what's annihilated?
Annihilated. Why, that means, when a farmer, now, for instance...
Where's the dictionary?
It's probably in the closet with the rest of your stuff. Give me your key and I'll get it for you.
Oh, no, you don't. You lay off the stuff in that closet. I got all my stuff arranged in there just the way I want it.
Now, don't be silly. Give me the key.
Okay. Now, let's see. Which one of these is it belongs to?
Heavenly day. Why do you carry all those keys? Does it make you feel important or something?
What do you mean, important? Every one of them keys is necessary.
What's that little key there for?
Well, that's a padlock key.
What padlock?
Oh, for the backyard gate we used to have in Peoria.
What are you keeping that for? You homesick?
No, but if we ever moved back to Peoria, I'd try to rent the same house because this key fits the padlock there. You got to think ahead in these things. And you see this key here?
Looks like the key to a can of salmon.
No, sardines. I use that to clean my pipe with.
Oh, I see.
Now, let's see. Which one of these keys is the closet door keys?
Hey, maybe we better see if the closet is locked. Let me take a look.
Oh, it's locked all right. You don't think I'd leave all my personal defects laying around for any prowler to get his hands on?
McGee, it isn't locked. Why, better see your hand, McGee. The stuff's all falling out. McGee, I'm buried alive. Get this junk off of me.
All right, but Dad Rabbit, you might have been more careful
with... Help! There's funny little insects all over me. Brush them off, quick.
Oh, calm yourself. Them are my trout flies. Doggone it, Molly. Why did you have to go and mess up?
Oh, dear. Come in.
Fibber McGee and Molly?
Yes.
Tell me, with all these radio shows being changed, is it true that you're going to cut your program down to a half hour?
What do you mean, cut it down? It's only a half hour now.
What? Boy, it sure seems like an hour.
Well, as the guy says when he fell off of the horse and heard something bust, that sounded to me like a rib.
Well, never mind that now. Oh, dear, look at all this junk that fell out of that closet.
Don't worry, I'll put it back, Molly.
No, you won't.
Huh?
We're going to go through that pile of whatnots and throw everything out we don't need.
Oh, yeah? Well, I've been through this stuff 100 times, and there ain't a thing of it that I can spare.
Oh, there isn't?
No.
What's this old rusty horseshoe for?
Well, I found that in 1911. As soon as I find 3 more, we can pitch horseshoes in the backyard.
I see. You expect to find 3 more,
You
huh?
betcha.
You don't think the automobile is here to stay, eh?
Won't be if we don't catch up with the payments.
Hi, mister.
Oh, hello there, little girl. What you want?
You remember that job you promised me to take care of your baby, only you didn't have one, so I was going to bring my little brother over and take care of him, remember? Do you?
Yes, sure I remember, but
Well, the deal is off, see?
What you mean the deal is off? In the first place, there wasn't any deal, and in the second...
My mommy had to take my little brother to the doctor today, so I can't bring him over.
Oh, that's too bad. What's the matter with your little brother? Anything serious?
My mama thinks so.
Oh. She thinks so, huh?
She thinks so. I had to clear my throat. She thinks he swallowed a dime.
swallowed a dime. Well, say, that is serious.
Oh, no, it isn't.
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, no, it isn't.
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, he didn't swallow a dime, I bet you.
Huh?
It was only 8 cents.
Only 8 cents. How do you know?
Well, we were playing slot machine, and I fed him to him. What you doing, mister?
Well, we're cleaning out this closet, if you must know.
I mustn't.
Mustn't what?
No.
No?
Yes.
What?
Hmm?
Oh. Listen, sis, suppose you go on home and annoy somebody else. Go bother your daddy.
He isn't home. He's working on the senseless.
On the what?
The senseless. He goes to people's doors and asks them how many people in the family and how old are you and all stuff like that there, I bet you.
Oh, you mean the census?
Hmm?
Shucks, I didn't even think a kid your age knew what a census was.
Well, I do, I bet you.
Yeah?
A census is information, please, on the Red, White, and Blue Network. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
While we're waiting for Fibber and Molly to return, I'd like your attention for just a minute. If you have valuable jewels, you protect them by keeping them in your safe or in a secret compartment. Valuable papers you keep in a strong box or vault. How can you protect your valuable furniture, floors, and woodwork? By locking them under a safe protective shield of genuine Johnson's wax. That may seem like a strong statement, but it's really true. When you apply a coat of Johnson's wax, you are completely covering the surface with an invisible yet very tough shield of real wax. This wax guards the floors and furniture surfaces against wear and against dirt and moisture. From time to time, you renew the coating of Johnson's wax, and your floors and furniture are given permanent protection. What is equally important, they have that rich, wax-polished glow that good housekeepers cherish. If your home is not wax-protected and wax-beautified, order genuine Johnson's Wax, paste or liquid, tomorrow.
Heavenly days, McGee. Imagine all this stuff falling out of one little closet. How'd you ever get it all in there?
Oh, I don't know. I guess I just inherited a gift for packing. My great Aunt Minnie had a job stuffing pimentos into olives. Oh, hey, look at this, Molly. The tabaret I made in manual training. Yeah?
Didn't you ever finish anything? It's only got 3 legs.
They wouldn't let me stay in the 5th grade another year.
Ah, McGee, look. One of our old dance programs before we were married. I didn't know you were so sentimental, dearie.
Is that a dance program? I was saving it on account of that little pencil hanging onto it. You never know when you'll need a pencil.
Listen to this. Waltz, waltz, turkey trot, waltz, bunny hug, waltz, Texas Tommy, waltz.
What, no schottish?
Grizzly bear, waltz.
There.
You had every dance with me but the last waltz. McGee, who did you dance that one with?
Why, nobody. We sat that one out. In the buggy, remember?
Oh, yes. And we couldn't go back to the dance because you sat on a box of Lowney's chocolate-covered cherries and spoiled your white pants.
That was the night they took the... Come in.
Oh, hello, Johnny. Hello, daughter. Say, I'm looking for a nice room in the neighborhood. Got one to rent?
No, I don't believe so, Mr. Oldtimer.
Oh, come on, kids. I'll pay $3 a week with meals, or $2 a week and eat out, or $2.50 if you let me see the funny paper first on Sundays.
Nothing doing, old timer. We ain't taking boarders.
Absolutely not.
The last boarder we had was a tap dancer. Kept me awake all morning. I finally got tired of it and knocked him cold with one of his steel-plated shoes and stuffed it into his own trunk.
Incidentally, McGee, where did you ship that trunk?
Off to Buffalo.
Wow! That's pretty good, Johnny. But that ain't the way I heard it. The way I heard it, one feller said, t'other feller, hey, says, I see where Scarlett O'Hara got the Academy Award. Yep, says t'other feller. She lost out with Rhett, but she sure got her Oscar. Well, I'm sorry you ain't got a room for me. Slept in the park all last summer and didn't like it. The roof leaked. So long, kid.
I'm getting a little tired of all them Gone with the Wind gags.
Yeah.
I don't know how a picture about the bluegrass country could produce so many bum plugs.
Well, never mind that, McGee. Isn't there any of this junk we can throw away now?
Well, now, let me see, Molly. How about this old photograph album here?
I should say not. That's got all our family pictures in it.
Oh, dear.
Who's this funny-looking man with the walrus mustache, McGee?
Oh, that's my great Uncle Roscoe. We were pretty proud of Uncle Roscoe. He was the first white child in the county to be blackballed by the Elks.
Here's one of me Aunt Ad and Aunt Carrie. They both had big families.
Yeah, how many kids do they have, anyway?
10 between them. Ad 6 and Carrie 4. McGee, now, what are you going...
Well, hello there, folks. I was just going by and I thought Well, what goes on here? Have you been buying out an antique store?
Hi, Harlow.
This is just a lot of stuff McGee's been hoarding in the closet, Mr. Wilcox.
Isn't it wonderful how much you can pack into so little space?
Uh-oh.
For instance, you only give me about 6 lines to tell how Johnson's Glow Coat saves hours of house cleaning because it beautifies and protects linoleum with absolutely no rubbing or buffing.
Wonderful.
But in those 6 lines, I think I can get the idea across pretty well that a self-polishing preparation like Glow Coat is the very essence of good housekeeping.
Boy.
It's so easy to use that it's easy to tell about.
Ain't he marvelous, folks? That guy has dedicated his whole life to Johnson's Glow Coat.
What do you mean, Fibber?
Harlow, they tell me that way back when you were in college, they wanted you to stroke the crew. And you said, no. No stroking, no rubbing, and no buffing. Even for dear old University of Southeastern Nebraska.
Is that true, Mr. Wilcox?
No, I wasn't a crew man. I went out for ROTC.
Oh, Reserve Officers Training Corps?
No, revolutionizing old-time cleaning. Well, so long, folks.
Got you there, McGee.
Yeah. As the golf ball says, when it landed 5 feet from the tee, I think I've been topped. Well, let's get busy, Molly, and put this stuff back in the closet.
You mean you're going to keep all this junk? Can't we throw any of it out?
No, sir. I got a use for every one of these things.
Now, you don't need this, do you?
Huh?
What good is one snowshoe?
Why, one what?
Snowshoe.
Is that a snowshoe? Well, shucks, no wonder Billy Mills beat me so bad playing tennis.
Now what? Come in.
Hi, sis. Can we... Oh, hey, Molly. Look. It's Gracie Allen.
Well, hello, Gracie. Won't you come in?
Oh, no, thank you, Molly. And I wouldn't have dropped in if I'd known you were entertaining.
Oh, we ain't entertaining.
Oh, you are, too. I think you're very entertaining.
Oh.
Now, you say something nice about Georgie and me.
Oh. T.L.
Yeah.
Well, I heard, Gracie, that the difference between our shows is that yours is always in the middle of the week and ours is always week in the middle.
Oh.
Gracie, what's this I hear about you running for president of the United States?
Oh, there's nothing to it.
Oh, you mean you're not running for president, huh?
Oh, I mean I'll be elected. There's nothing to it.
Oh, yeah? Well, I ain't one to indulge in no idle gossip, Gracie. But I've heard whispers about Dewey and Hull and Garner and Taft being in the White House next year. But I suppose they're just rumors.
They are not. I'll be running in the White House, and I'm not going to take in any rumors.
What's your party, Gracie?
Oh, well, it's my own party, the surprise party.
Oh, what an adorable name, dearie.
Oh, I'm so glad you like it.
Well, you can count on our votes, Gracie. I always said there should be a woman in the White House.
How about Mrs. Roosevelt?
She's never in the White House.
you play bridge?
No, I don't.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm forming my cabinet, and I need 7 more bridge players.
How big a cabinet you going to have?
Just 2 tables.
You need a good pool player?
Well, no, I'm having the pool table taken out. The 8 ball gets in front of too many people.
By the way, Gracie, when do you expect to move into the White House?
January 1st.
January 1st? You ain't going to be inaugurated on New Year's Eve, are you?
Well, I may not be inaugurated, but I'll be feeling pretty good. Well, I guess I'll be running along now.
Well, I'm glad you dropped in, Gracie. You think you can handle your campaign all right?
Oh, yes, I can handle my campaign, though the bubbles always tickle my nose a little bit. Well, thank you both, and don't forget my slogan, Face the White House with Gracie. Good night.
Well, McGee, I've about exhausted my impatience with you.
Why?
Packing all this useless junk back in that closet. How about these old books?
What old boy? Let's see him. Oh, them. Well, that's my correspondence course in taxidermy.
Taxidermy. Why on earth did you want to study taxidermy?
Well, how did I know it meant stuffing birds and animals? And there I was, stuck with a chauffeur's license, a city map, and a pair of puttees.
Well, hurry up and put your playthings back in the closet.
Okay.
Looks terrible laying around here on the floor with that...
I'll get it. Hello? No, this is the McGee residence. You got the wrong number. Oh, is that you, Mert?
Egad, every week the same thing. Apologies to Skinny Ennis.
How's every little thing, Mert? What's that? Your Uncle Gulliver. Oh, that's too bad, Mert.
Oh, no.
And they ain't found the body yet, eh?
Oh, heavenly days, McGee. What happened?
Mert's uncle drove his car off the cliff and had to walk home. They found the chassis up in a tree, but they don't know where the body is. What say, Mert? Oh, that's okay, Mert. Everybody has the wrong number now and then, except Irving Berlin. Well, now, let's see.
McGee, why are you saving this long stick of bamboo?
Why, Molly, that's got a very definite purpose. If I was offered a job as sparring partner for Joe Louis, that's the 10-foot pole I wouldn't touch it with. See, I got it right.
Oh, for goodness sake. Come in. Oh, how do you do, Mrs. Uppington? So nice to see you.
How do you do, Mrs. McGee? And Mr. McGee?
Hi, Uppy.
Good heavens, what a... Oh, my, it looks as if there'd been an explosion in here.
No, just some things that fell out of the closet, Mrs. Uppington. McGee had everything in there but the kitchen sink.
Oh, really? Everything but the kitchen sink? Oh, my, isn't that amusing? Oh, but what I came in for, Mrs. McGee, was to tell you about the symphony concert I've been planning with Maestro Mills.
Oh, yes, the symphony concert. Well, it's about time something was happening about that, Mrs. Uppington.
I've been waiting so long for that concert, Uppy, I'm even getting suspicious of Billy Mills. I'm afraid he's a non-conductor.
Ah, well, we must be patient, you know. There's been so many difficulties. For one thing, we're having trouble with the facilities at the Eagles Hall.
Oh, what's wrong, Mrs. Uppington?
Oh, it's the Eagles, my dear.
The Eagles?
Yes, they're all roosting up in the rafters, and during rehearsals, they drop eggs on the orchestra.
You ought to call them down and give them seats in the first row, Uppy. Them birds are critics.
Yes, indeed, they certainly... Oh, now, please, Miss McGee. It's discouraging enough as it is.
I hear they had a kind of an accident during rehearsal the other night,
Oh,
Uppy.
yes, and it was so embarrassing.
So?
Yes, the musician playing the electric guitar reached for a high note and blew every fuse in the building. Oh, my, but those dear, dear boys went right on playing, just as if nothing had happened.
Oh, really, Mrs. Uppington? But how could they read their music in the dark?
Oh, my dear, that's exactly what I asked Dr. Mills. And he said in his most delightful manner,
Oh, yes.
Don't worry about it, babe. Those mugs can't even read music with the lights on. Oh, really? I thought that was just too gay. Or am I being a silly girl?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I must be going. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Abigail.
Isn't she ridiculous, McGee? All the time she's back in that symphony orchestra, she's dreaming about Billy Mills.
Well, that's always been a pretty romantic spot, down by the old Mills Dream. Don't you get it, Molly? I said down by the...
Ain't funny, McGee.
Oh, well. It was spontaneous. Where was I?
Say, do you really think you can get all this stuff back in that closet?
Why, sure I can, and I don't want anybody touching these things either but me. They're too valuable.
Oh.
I'd have had it done an hour ago if I hadn't been interfered with.
All right, you do it then.
Huh?
I've got some work to do in the kitchen.
All right, I'll get it. Dad, drat it. I wish somebody'd crawl in through the window just for the novelty of it. Come in.
Oh, there, McGee.
Oh, it's you.
Yeah, just thought I'd come by and tell you that... Well, my goodness, what's all this?
Oh, just something out of my closet. I'm straightening it up. Hey, Gildersleeve, put that hatchet down.
I'll do no such thing. That's my Boy Scout hatchet you borrowed last summer.
Dad, drat it, it ain't nothing of the kind. That's my Boy Scout hatchet. Look at the insignia on the handle there. Owl Patrol.
Well, I belong to the Owl Patrol myself.
Oh, yeah? You in the Owl Patrol. Why, you don't even know the password of the Owl Patrol.
Who?
Oh, somebody must have told you. Listen here, Gildersleeve, I bet you don't know a thing about scouting.
I do, too. I was an Eagle Scout with 26 merit badges.
Oh, go on. Can you tie a sheep shank? Can you imitate the mating cry of the chimney swallow? Can you tell which way is north when you're lost in the woods?
Certainly.
How?
I face south and then turn around quick.
Look, Gildersleeve, if you're really a scout, you can do your daily good turn by scramming out of here and letting me finish putting this stuff back in the closet.
Well, all right, McGee.
Well.
You're sure that isn't my hatchet?
On my word of honor as a member of the Owl Patrol, Gildersleeve.
Well, all right, McGee. I'll see you later.
Okay.
Say.
Huh?
Give me the password again, will you?
Who?
Who?
Oh, Boy Scout, that guy couldn't build a fire in a haymow by rubbing 2 sticks of dynamite together. Oh, well, I gotta get the rest of it. Looks like about all of it. Yep. It's all packed back in there. Boy, what a job. Hey, Molly! Molly!
What is it, McGee?
Look, I got all that stuff back in the closet, all straightened out.
Splendid, McGee, splendid.
And after this one, you want something out of there, let me get it for you.
All right.
Yeah.
But now that you got the dictionary out of there, why don't you leave it out? We may need it again.
Oh,
What's the matter?
I forgot to leave it out. I packed the dictionary back in there.
Oh, heavenly days.
Now, hey, now you stay away from there. I know exactly where I put it.
Well,
I
okay.
can get it out without disturbing the Molly!
Yes?
I found the dictionary. How do you spell annihilated?
Rip and Molly will be back in just a moment. In the meantime, I'd like to read you a brief letter received recently from a gentleman in New York State. For the past 15 years, he writes, I have installed many linoleum floors, as I am a linoleum layer. Most every time upon completion of an installation, I am asked this question: how can I preserve or improve the finish? Well, since Glow Coat has been on the market, I have used it with perfect satisfaction, so I always answer, use Johnson's Glow Coat and no other. Well, now, coming from a man who knows his linoleum, that is a pretty sound recommendation. Glow Coat does preserve and improve linoleum, whether it's new or old. It makes linoleum last longer, makes it easy to keep clean, brings out the colors. And remember, there's no rubbing or buffing with Glow Coat, because it's self-polishing. You simply apply and let dry. In 20 minutes, your floor is sparkling with new beauty. Try Johnson's self-polishing Glow Coat on your floors. Order a can tomorrow.
Now, look, McGee, that junk of yours is positively not going back into that closet.
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, no, it isn't.
Oh, yeah. Hey, wait a minute. Wrong routine.
Well, all right, then. But if it does go back in there, I'll arrange it myself. Now, you keep your hands off it this time.
You going to do it all by yourself?
I am.
Fine. As the fat lady says when she took off her corset, that lets me out.
McGee.
Good night.
Good night, all.
This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for the makers of Johnson's Wax and Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat, inviting you to be with us again next Tuesday night. Good night.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Hollywood, California, Monday, March 29th. The Lux Radio Theater presents George Burns and Gracie Allen in Dulcie, featuring Elliot Nugent, Howard Lindsay, Norma Lee, and Wallace Clark. Lux presents Hollywood. Our stars, George Burns and Gracie Allen, Elliot Nugent, Howard Lindsay, Norma Lee, and Wallace Clark. Our guests, Elsa Maxwell, entertainer of International Society, and Hedda Hopper, famous actress and Hollywood personality. Our producer, Cecil B. DeMille. Our conductor, Louis Silvers. This program comes to you with the good wishes of the makers of Lux Flakes, those gentle, marvelously effective soap flakes, in whose behalf we welcome you all to Hollywood and to the 126th production of the Lux Radio Theater. Our play tonight, Dulcie. Our stars, George Burns and Gracie Allen. Our sponsors, the makers of Lux Flakes. If you haven't tried the Lux way of cutting down stocking runs, the recent experience of Mrs. John Powers of Long Island may persuade you to. Here is what Mrs. Powers said.
A group of us decided to make a simple test. See if we actually could cut down stocking runs by Lux washing. We each took a pair of stockings, washed one regularly with Lux Flakes. The other we rubbed with cake soap. Then we kept careful records of runs. We found Lux cut down on runs amazingly. The average was 72%.
Lux Flakes do cut down runs because they save the elasticity of silk. Why not try this easy Lux way of getting longer wear from your hosiery? Start using Lux Flakes tonight. And now, our producer, a man who for 25 years has been famous the world over for several of the greatest films in motion picture history. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cecil B. DeMille.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. With their own romance, George Burns and Gracie Allen changed the movie formula of boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl, to girl meets boy, girl gets boy, girl loses her mind. Employed in a New Jersey office, Gracie's quota of silly answers was no higher than that of the average secretary when George Burns came along and convinced her that they should go into vaudeville together. 4 years later, George said, "Why don't we get married?" Gracie, in characteristic fashion, replied, "Who'd have us?" But in spite of that, George's civil question led to a civil ceremony. And now Gracie is not only Mrs. George Burns, she's the divine dunce of screen and radio, and was recently voted one of the best-dressed women in the world. Tonight's play, Dulcie, is remarkable not only for its comedy, but because it was the first conspicuous success of George S. Kaufman and Mark Connolly as writers, and Lynn Fontaine as actress, as leading lady, Howard Lindsay as a director, and Elliot Nugent as an actor. Today, Mr. Lindsay is one of Paramount's ablest writers, Mr. Nugent a noted Hollywood director. But both of them become actors again as they join Burns and Allen in tonight's performance with two other film personalities who were in the original cast, Norma Lee, now Mrs. Nugent, and Wallace Clark. This evening, Gracie becomes Mrs. Dulcinea Smith, wife of that paragon of patience, Gordon Smith, played by George Burns. Mr. Nugent will be heard as William Parker, Mr. Clark as C. Roger Forbes, Norma Lee as Angela Forbes, and Mr. Lindsay as Vincent Leach. And now, we loosen the straitjackets and let the players out of their padded cells as the Lux Radio Theater presents George Burns and Gracie Allen in Dulcie, featuring Elliot Nugent, Wallace Clark, Norma Lee, and Howard Lindsay. It's late afternoon of a midsummer day. On a road leading out of New York City, a small blue roadster weaves quickly through the heavy traffic. At the wheel is Gordon Smith, and beside him his brother-in-law, Bill Holloway. They're bound for Gordon's house in Westchester. As they reach the open road, the car swerves sharply, avoiding an accident by inches.
Hey, take it easy, will you, Gordon?
Sorry, I guess I'm in too much of a hurry.
I'll say you are. What's the big rush?
Oh, nothing. Just anxious to get home, that's all.
I had a tough day at the office today.
Well, you'll have a tougher one if you pile up in the ditch. That's better. Well, how's the artificial jewelry business, if any?
Not so hot, Bill.
No? Anything new on the Forbes merger?
No, it's coming along. If the deal goes through, I'll get 16 2/3% of the combine.
Oh, do you think that's enough, Gordon? 16 2/3?
No, it isn't. But I'm up against it, and I've got to take what he gives me. Forbes is a tough customer.
That's hard luck.
Of course, I might be able to do something with him over the weekend. He's coming out to the house, too, you know. Your sister invited him.
Yeah, so she told me. Well, Dulcie always did like guests.
Yeah, I know.
Forbes is bringing his wife and daughter, isn't he?
I guess so.
I didn't know you knew them that well.
Well, I don't accept Forbes in a business way. It wasn't my idea until the little woman thought of it. You know how your sister is.
Oh, sure. When Dulcie makes up your mind that she wants to do something, you do it.
That's one of the reasons why I want to get home. If they get there ahead of us and Dulcie gets talking to them, well, anything can happen. And it always happens to me.
And if I know Dulcie, it'll be plenty. Step on it, Gordon.
Go ahead in, Bill.
Yeah, thanks.
Gee, it's good to get home. I guess they aren't here yet.
I beg pardon, sir.
Huh? Who are you?
I'm the butler, sir.
The butler? I must be in the wrong house.
Oh, no, sir. Mrs. Smith engaged me this afternoon, sir.
Oh, well, I'm Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Smith described you in some detail, sir.
Huh?
May I take your hat, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Very good, sir.
Can you imagine that? I turn my back and she hires a butler.
I guess she had to make an impression on the Forbes.
Oh, hello, Gordon. Imagine meeting you here. It certainly is a small house. Who's that with you?
Your brother.
Oh, sure. Hello, Willie.
Hello, Dulcie.
Oh, Gordon, darling, how are you feeling?
Well.
You are, huh? My, isn't it hot? It certainly is. Did you have a nice day at the office today?
Well, not so bad.
Nice and cool in here, though. Maybe that's on account of the cold air. But
Yes.
I always say it's the old breeze that doesn't blow in this room. Ring for Henry, will you, darling? I want to put these flowers in water.
Wait a minute. Who is this fella, Henry?
Why, Henry White, darling. Didn't you meet him? He's the butler.
I know. He introduced himself at the door, but who is he? Where did you get him?
Well, if you promise not to tell,
Yes.
He's a reformed convict.
What? A reformed convict?
Shh, not so loud. He's very sensitive.
Yeah, well, so am I. And I don't like the idea of having a second-story man polishing off the silverware.
Oh, he wouldn't steal anything, Gordon. He's going straight now. He hasn't taken hardly a thing since he got out of prison.
When was that?
Last week.
I see.
Well, anyway, we've got to have a butler, darling.
What, Dulcie?
We're having guests, Willie. Very important guests for the weekend. Guess who's coming?
The Forbes?
Who told you?
You did?
Oh, you guessed it. Yes, there'll be Mr. and Mrs. Forbes and his wife, and Angela. Angela's their daughter, you know, and sweet. Why, she's just the sweetest thing.
Yes,
Oh,
isn't she?
Willie. Oh, what do you mean? You don't know her?
Of course I do. I've known her for years.
Well, what's funny about that, Dulcie?
Well, he didn't know I never knew he knew. Isn't that funny? Or is it?
Yes, dear, it is.
Well, now let me see. The pink room for Angela and the red room for Mr. and Mrs. Forbes. I better have the green room made up for Schuyler Van Dyke.
Schuyler Van Dyke?
Yeah, one of the Van Dykes, and he's worth millions.
Schuyler Van Dyke is coming here.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Oh, he's a marvelous man. You'd never think he was a Van Dyke. He's so democratic.
When did you meet him?
Well, this afternoon, he was at Mrs. Kennedy's. He had a lot of other invitations, but he accepted mine.
But, Dulcie, having this man here with Forbes, how do you know they like each other?
Oh, they will. Mr. Van Dyke's a businessman, too, darling. He owns all kinds of things. Railroads, I think. Well, anyhow, it's something like railroads. He'll help entertain Mr. Forbes. Isn't that a pleasant surprise?
You know, Gordon, one thing Dulcie never learned is the difference between a surprise and a shock.
Oh, Willie, you're saying silly things to try to mix me up.
Okay, I think I'll go upstairs and wash a little.
Yeah, that's right, dear. I want you to look nice and clean for our guests.
See you later.
Bringing in a Mr. Van Dyke to entertain Mr. Forbes. Dulcie, Forbes isn't the kind of a man who wants to be entertained.
All right, dear. Then Van Dyke can entertain Mr. Leach.
Well, that's better. Mr. Leach? Who is Mr. Leach?
Vincent Leach. You know, the big moving picture writer?
Oh, yes. Is he coming here?
Yes, isn't that wonderful?
I'm not so sure. First you invite Mr. Van Dyke, next you invite Vincent Leach.
Ah, there's the secret.
Look, Dulcie, let's not make a game of this. I don't...
Oh, well, you see, dear, Vincent and Angela like each other.
Vincent and Angela?
Yes.
You mean Forbes' daughter?
Yes, isn't it wonderful? So I invited them both here so they'll have the whole weekend together. You never can tell what'll happen.
That's what I'm afraid of. Dulcie, you don't know Angela so well, and this man Leach. What do you know about him?
I know all about him. He's a big scenario writer and just the man for Angie. He's so practical, and she's single. Opposites should marry. You know that, darling.
Yes, I know that. But why are you so anxious to match this fellow Leach with Angela? What do you care about it?
Don't you see?
Yes, I see.
Can't you guess?
Yes, I can guess.
All right, then I'll tell you.
Good.
If Angie likes Mr. Leach and marries him,
yes.
and I fixed it...
Well,
that'll make Mr. Forbes so grateful that he'll have to give you more than 16 2/3 of the percentage.
I wish you'd stay out of my business.
Well, sure, that's what a wife's for. Now, I figured it all out by myself.
But, Dulcie...
Oh, Gordon, darling, don't be upset about it. I know they ought to marry. I just know it. It's a woman's intuition. Just as I knew I ought to marry you, dear. It was because I loved you, darling, and wanted to help you,
Yes, and you do help me, but you don't understand, dear. Try and see my position.
Well, all I can see is that Mr. Forbes is taking advantage of you, and I'm not going to let him, that's all.
But that isn't the point. In the position that I'm in, I have to go ahead with it. Don't you see, dear, if I'm not in that merger, I'll lose everything.
Well, only 16 2/3%. It's such a funny number, too. I don't see why you couldn't get a nice even number like 25 or 50.
Dulcie, you've got to listen to me. Let me talk to Forbes about a higher percentage. Maybe he'll acquiesce.
Well, he might try to, but he won't get away with it.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Forbes is my name.
Yes, sir. Just step right in, please.
Come on, Eleanor.
Yes, dear. Angela?
This way, please.
My, what a lovely room, isn't it, Angela? Yes, the whole place is lovely.
Nobody here. Looks like they came too early.
Oh, no, sir. Mrs. Smith asked me to say that she'd be down directly.
All right.
Not at all, sir. Excuse me, please.
Well, nice reception.
Now, please, Charlie.
What do you mean?
Oh, don't be a bear, Father. Try to be pleasant for once.
Well, why should I? I didn't want to come down here in the first place. I could have done my business with Gordon Smith in New York.
I know, dear. But a nice weekend down here in the country will be
Weekend? What do I care about a weekend? I'm a businessman, not a playboy. You know how I despise golf and tennis and all that truck.
Well, we're here now, Father, and you might as well make the best of it. I didn't care so much about coming myself, if you want to know.
Oh, you didn't?
No, not particularly. I'd rather have stayed in town.
Oh, where you can see that half-baked moving picture writer, I suppose.
Why, Father.
Oh, I know all about it. You've been seeing him almost every day, and I don't like it, do you hear? I don't like it at all.
Why not? Mr. Leach is a very nice young man.
Mr. Leach is a young fool.
Well, how can you say that? You've never even met him.
No, but I've heard about him. That was enough for me.
Charlie, please don't excite yourself. You know it's bad for you. Come over here and sit down.
I'll sit down right here. I hate those soft chairs. They're bad for my back.
Well, look who's here, Mr. and Mrs. Forbes.
Good afternoon.
Oh, Mrs. Forbes, I'm so sorry to have kept you waiting.
Oh, it's quite all right.
Oh, and Mr. Forbes, well, how are you?
Oh, all right, I guess.
And Angela.
How are you, Mrs. Smith?
Oh, now where is Gordon? Gordon!
Yes, Dulcie.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, hello, Mr. Forbes.
hello,
Mrs.
Well,
Forbes.
did you have a nice drive out from the city, Mr. Forbes? Awfully pretty, isn't it?
Yes, I guess so.
Did you all come out together, or did you drive?
Why, I don't know. We came through Harpsdale.
Oh, that's the short way. Now, you should have come the long way. That's quicker. No, I think that is the long way, isn't it, Hartsdale? Yes.
Well, it really doesn't matter.
No, both ways are awfully pretty. Sit down, Mr. Forbes.
Thank you.
No, not in that chair. That's the hard chair.
Yeah, but I prefer a hard
Oh, now, don't fib, Mr. Forbes. You sit right down in this nice soft chair.
Now,
Go
please,
ahead, now, there.
Now, please. Oh!
Why, Mr. Forbes?
It's his back. He's been having a little trouble with it lately.
Are you all right, Mr. Forbes?
I hope so.
Oh, of course he's all right. Nice and comfy. Oh, Angela, have I a surprise for you, or will you be surprised?
What, Mrs. Smith?
Oh, you'll see, dear.
Dulcie, please. Well, Mr. Forbes, I'm glad you could get down early. I'd like to talk over something with you.
Oh, now, Gordon. No business, please.
But, Dulcie, that's what Mr. Forbes came down.
No, dear. This is the time for play. You know, Mr. Forbes, the one thing poor Gordon has never learned is how to play. He takes everything so seriously. Now, what I like to do is just cut loose once in a while, just be children again. And I've got the most wonderful day planned for you, Mr. Forbes. We're going to play and play and play.
Me? Well, thank you very much, but you know I...
Oh, but you play golf, don't you?
Well, to tell you the truth,
Oh,
Mrs. Smith...
well, that's good. And you love our course. It's wonderful.
Yes, but I've been having a great deal of trouble with my back lately.
The pro at our club will fix that up. What you need is exercise.
Exercise?
Yeah, you and I'll go out and play 18 holes of golf the first thing in the morning.
But, my dear Mrs. Smith...
Excuse me, Mrs. Smith.
Yes, Henry? Yes, Henry, what is it?
Another guest is here, madam. A Mr.
Wait. Don't tell us his name. Just show him in, Henry.
Very good, madam.
Oh, Angela.
Yes, Mrs. Smith?
This is the surprise I was telling you about, Angela.
Oh, who is it?
Well, you'll see in a moment, darling.
In here, sir, please.
Thank you.
Oh, good heavens.
Mrs. Smith.
Oh, how do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Vincent Leach, the great moving picture writer.
What?
Yes, Mr. Forbes, Mr. Vincent Leach.
How do you do, Mr. Forbes?
How do you do?
And this is Mrs. Forbes.
How do you do?
And Mr. Smith, my husband.
How do you do?
Oh, and of course you know Angela.
Angela, this is a surprise.
Yes, isn't it, Mr. Leach? I didn't know you were going to be here.
Neither did I.
Yeah, what's that, Mr. Forbes?
Oh, nothing, Mrs. Smith. Nothing at all.
I thought you said something. Mr. Leach, we're all so glad you could come. He's been so busy, Mr. Forbes, working on his new picture. Tell him about it, Mr. Leach.
Well, I'm afraid I can't just now. It's a little long. Perhaps after dinner.
Oh, yes, of course.
But I may say without exaggeration that it will probably be the most magnificent picture of its type ever produced.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yes, even better than my last picture, The Sacred Love. I suppose everyone here saw The Sacred Love.
Oh, I don't know.
I beg pardon, Mrs. Smith.
Yes, what is it?
Mr. Schuyler Van Dyke.
Mr. Van Dyke?
Oh, no, Mr. Forbes. This is just our butler. Here comes Mr. Van Dyke.
How do you do, Mrs. Smith? I'm sorry to be late.
Oh, don't mention it, Mr. Van Dyke.
I had to make several important long-distance calls. Business, you know.
Oh, of course, you captains of industry. Oh, Mr. Forbes, this is Mr. Van Dyke, the Mr. Van Dyke.
Well, how do you do?
How do you do?
I brought him here especially for you, Mr. Forbes.
Dulcie.
Gordon, I told you it isn't polite to whisper in front of company.
Oh.
Well, now our weekend has started. Gordon, will you introduce Mr. Van Dyke to everyone and everyone to Mr. Van Dyke? We're all too good friends to be strangers, you know.
Well, this is Mrs. Forbes.
Yes, Mr. Forbes' wife, you know, and
How
Mrs.
do-
Angela Forbes, Mr. Forbes' daughter, and this is Mr. Leach,
How
Mr.
do you,
Forbes' future son-in-law.
Dulcie.
Uh-huh.
Dinner is served,
Oh,
Mrs. Smith.
dear. Well, one can't do everything at once, can one? Well, come along, everyone. Dinner.
Dulcie, what are you laughing at?
Well, I just want to put everybody in a good mood.
Charlie, let's go back to the others.
I tell you, I'll do nothing of the sort. This place is going to drive me crazy.
Now, Charlie, please don't excite yourself. You know how bad it is for you after eating.
Did you hear what that woman said? I've got to get up tomorrow morning and play golf. Golf. If there's one thing I hate more than anything in this world, it's golf. Unless it's bridge.
Oh, Charlie.
If I could think of a good excuse, I'd go back to town tonight and take Angela and you with me.
But, Charlie, you can't do that.
Don't you suppose I see that woman's plan to throw Angela and that fool Leach together?
But I tell you, he's a most charming man.
And I tell you, Mrs. Smith, if it weren't for Smith and our business relations, I would go back to town tonight. But,
Oh, here I am. I've been looking all over for you, Mr. Forbes. You know what we're going to do? We're going to play bridge.
what? Well, Mrs. Smith, I don't think I care to play bridge this evening.
Oh, now, you businessmen must have some relaxation. You remind me so of Gordon, the poor darling. He does nothing but work. I don't suppose he's told you, Mr. Forbes, but he's really got a lot of things on hand.
Why, what do you mean?
Well, you might just as well know. It isn't only the pearl business. He has lots of other interests, too.
What's that?
It's really asking too much to make him give up all these other things to come into the jewelry merger. That is, unless it were made worth his while. Of course, if he only got 16 2/3%, he couldn't afford to give up all his time to it. Oh, no, he'd have to look after his other interests, too. And you'd be the loser.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I thought you would. Are you coming, Mrs. Forbes?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Smith.
Well, hurry, dear, then. We're going to start the game.
Oh, hello, Mr. Forbes. All alone?
Yes, Mr. Smith. I'd like to have a word with you.
Of course.
Smith.
Yes?
Your wife has just been telling me something of your other business activities.
Other business activities?
Yeah, and it came as something of a revelation to me.
I don't understand.
Well, as you may have been aware, my agreement to admit you on a 16 2/3% basis was founded on the expectation that you would give all your time to the new enterprise.
Yes, of course, Mr. Forbes.
Well, in the circumstances, your business and your services would hardly be worth that amount to me. No, I think we shall have to lower your percentage.
But, Mr. Forbes, you don't understand.
Oh, I think I do. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'll go and play bridge.
Oh, I'm sunk. I'm sunk. Dulcie, where are you?
Yes, Gordon, dear.
Well, come here, quick.
Oh, Gordon, I've got news for you.
Wait a minute,
Oh,
Dulcie.
but it can't wait, dear. I must tell you.
Dulcie,
Listen,
please.
Mrs. Forbes just told me that Mr. Forbes never plays bridge.
Well, what of it?
What of it? Why, Gordon, dear, don't you see? He's out there now, ready to play. That means he likes us. He likes us, Gordon. Everything's going to be wonderful. Oh, I can feel it in my bones.
Oh.
In a moment, we'll go on with Dulcie. But now, let's listen in on a typical Lux home. Young Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, who have been married just a month, are giving a party in their new home.
Good night, my love. Remember that you're mine, sweetheart.
Oh, swell, Betty.
Play some more.
Let's have some of the old-time favorites in this book.
Yes.
If you don't mind, I'd rather not play anymore.
Oh, please, honey.
Oh,
why, what's the
wrong?
matter?
Play
Betty.
like that.
I can't imagine.
Let me go see what the trouble is.
So Betty's friend Ruth, who is a newlywed herself, goes into the bedroom. She finds Betty crying, sits down beside her, and tries to comfort her.
What's wrong, Betty? Tell me.
Oh, it's nothing, Ruth. Only while I was playing the piano, you all seemed to be staring at my horrid old dishpan hands. I hate looking like such a drudge.
Oh, you poor little kid. Don't you know your hands needn't look that way? 6 months of dishwashing hasn't hurt my hands a bit.
How do you do it?
The easiest way in the world. I use Lux Flakes in the dishpan. They're so gentle, it's a regular beauty treatment every time I wash the dishes. Just try Lux, Betty. Your hands will be white and smooth again in no time.
Remember, pure, gentle Lux Flakes haven't any harmful alkali. They won't dry up the precious oils of the skin. And Lux is inexpensive, too. Lux Flakes for all your dishes cost less than 1 cent a day. Mr. DeMille continues.
On with our story, Dulcie, starring George Burns and Gracie Allen. After carefully patching up the damage done by Dulcie, Gordon was able to convince Mr. Forbes that his percentage of the merger should not be lowered. But there's more trouble brewing. It's a few hours later, and Dulcie is alone in the living room. The door opens, and Vincent Leach and Angela enter excitedly.
Oh, Mrs. Smith, we've got to speak to you.
Yes, we want you to help us.
Why, Mr. Leach, Angela, is there anything wrong?
Oh, Mrs. Smith, Vincent and I are in love.
In love? In love? Oh, Angela, Mr. Leach. Oh, if this isn't the most wonderful thing I've ever heard. Why, it's wonderful, that's all I can say. Oh, I'm so happy I could cry. Good news affects me that way. Oh, Vincent. I may call you Vincent now, mayn't I?
Of course.
Mrs. Smith, we're going to need your help.
Oh, yes, darling, of course.
Now, it's a secret, and you must promise that you won't tell anyone.
Oh, I know. I wouldn't tell a soul.
Well, we're going to elope.
Elope?
Tonight.
Tonight? You mean run away and get married?
Yes.
Why, Well, that's wonderful. Oh, that's just marvelous.
Oh, now remember, you're not to tell us.
Oh, I know. I wouldn't tell anybody. No. How soon are you going?
Oh, just as soon as we can. Aren't we, Vincent?
Yes, if we can get away.
Oh, of course. Oh, I'm so excited. I don't know what to do next. Oh, Willie, Vincent, and Angela are going to elope.
Mrs. Smith, you promised you wouldn't tell.
Oh, but I won't, and Willie won't tell anybody either, will you, Willie?
You're going to elope, Angela, with Mr. Leach?
Yes.
No, I won't tell a soul.
Oh, there you are, Angela.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah. Where are you going to elope to?
Why, where were we, Vincent?
Well, I hadn't thought about it just yet.
Well, there are lots of places.
Oh, sure. How about a marriage license?
Why, I don't know. Vincent?
Well, I thought we might find one someplace.
Oh, Willie. Willie, you could help them some way, couldn't you? You know where to get a license and everything.
Why, yes. As a matter of fact, I'll be glad to drive them there.
Oh, now, you see, that's just why I told them, everything is just working out beautifully. And I'll tell you what we'll do. What do we suggest, Willie?
Is everything ready?
Oh, we just have to get our bags.
They just have to get their bags. Vincent, now you go find Mrs. Forbes and tell her, and then we'll all meet in the garage, and I'll go up and get Angela's things for her.
But wait a minute.
Oh, hurry, Vincent. The less speed, the more haste or something, you know.
All right. I'll see you in the garage in about 3 minutes. Don't keep me waiting.
Oh, we won't. Well, now that's settled. I'll go up and get the things.
Oh, I'll go with you.
Oh, no. I'll bring everything out to the garage. If anybody sees me, they won't suspect. Oh, well, you know, I'm so excited. It's just like times of old when knights were bold. Oh.
Well, are you all ready for the elopement, Angela?
Bill Parker, I think you're just horrid.
Speaking to me?
You know very well I am.
Oh, you don't mean it. I'm really being very good to you, helping you out in this way.
Well, you don't have to be so happy about it. After all, we are old friends.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad. You're glad, aren't you?
That has nothing to do with it. Of course I am. Oh, you're just impossible.
Angela, you told me once that I'd never change. Well, you were right. I never have changed, especially about you.
I don't care whether you have or not. I think you're positively hopeless.
I guess I am. Well, let's get going, shall we?
Helena.
Here I am, dear. In the garden.
Oh, what are you doing out here?
Watching the stars. It's a beautiful night, isn't it, Charlie? So calm and peaceful.
Peaceful. You know, that woman is enough to drive a man crazy. Say, is that our car?
Where, dear?
Well, going out the drive. See it?
Oh, it couldn't be ours, darling.
No? Well, where's Angela?
I don't know. I haven't seen her since dinner.
Out gallivanting with that sap scenario writer, I suppose.
Do you mean Mr. Leach?
Yes, I mean Mr. Leach. And I want to tell you something. If I find this Leach person actually making love to Angela, I'm going to raise blazes.
Now, Charlie.
I've had nothing but a series of aggravations and annoyances ever since I came into this house. Eleanor, I can truthfully say that in all my 53 years, I have never spent an unhappier evening.
Oh, Charlie.
Yeah, but I'm not going to spend another. I'm not going to stay here and play golf and bridge.
Well, what are you going to do?
I'm going home.
Charlie.
I'm going upstairs and pack right now.
Charlie.
Oh, Mr. Forbes, here you are.
Yeah, I won't be for long.
What did you say?
I said I'm going to my room.
Oh, well, that's right. Get a good night's rest so you'll be nice and fresh for tomorrow.
Mrs. Smith, I am not going to play golf tomorrow.
Oh, no, none of us are. We've changed our plans, Mr. Forbes.
Oh.
We're going horseback riding.
Horseback?
Yes, isn't that a wonderful idea?
Good night, Mrs. Smith.
Oh, I knew he'd like it. Oh, Mrs. Forbes. Mrs. Forbes, have you heard the news? Oh, but you couldn't have, could you? It only just happened.
Well, what has just happened?
Vincent and Angela, they've eloped.
What?
Yes, just a minute ago. They took your car.
Eloped?
Oh, isn't it wonderful? I knew you'd be thrilled. And it's all my doing, every bit of it. And what makes it more exciting, it's a secret, too.
Mrs. Smith, Do you know what you've done?
Oh, that's all right. You can thank me later.
He'll never forgive you. Never.
Who, Vincent?
No. My husband.
But he didn't elope with your husband.
Try to understand, Mrs. Smith. My husband hates Mr. Leach.
Well, this is a fine time to say a thing like that. How was I supposed to know? He never said anything.
This is the finish, Mrs. Smith. We're leaving here just as soon as our car is returned.
No, but you can't. You mustn't. Mr. Smith hasn't settled anything about the merger yet.
No, and I'm afraid he never will. Good night, Mrs. Smith.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes, Mr. Van Dyke?
You mustn't cry like that, Mrs. Smith.
Oh, I can't help it. You don't know what's happened.
Yes, I do. I just heard Mr. Forbes storming about it upstairs. You couldn't help but hear him.
Oh, Mr. Van Dyke, isn't it awful? Isn't it terrible?
Nothing is so terrible that it can't be mended.
Oh, but the merger, it may be all off. I don't know what Gordon will do.
Mrs. Smith, I like your husband very much.
Oh, do you?
Tell me, would he be willing to get up his own merger? One bigger than Mr. Forbes ever dreamt of?
Why, well, I never thought of that. But Mr. Forbes has all the money, and Gordy hasn't any.
That's it, exactly. Now, I've always wanted to take a little flyer in the jewelry business. Suppose I financed Mr. Smith. Suppose he and I set out to beat Mr. Forbes together. How would that be?
Be? Why, it would be the biggest thing that ever happened in this house. Do you really mean it?
I certainly do. I'll put up my check the moment your husband says the word.
Oh, Mr. Van Dyke, you've made me the happiest woman in all the world. Oh, you'll let me break the news to him, won't you?
Why, of course, if you wish it.
Oh, and to think I introduced you to him. Oh, now what will he think of me?
Wait a minute. Say that again, Mr. Van Dyke.
Why, of course. I said that your wife has interested me very much in this proposition, and I've told her that I'm willing to finance a combination to beat Forbes and his crowd with you at the head of it.
Oh, he's just waiting for you to say the word, darling.
I can't believe it.
But it's true. It is, dear.
Why, it's too good to be true. I could get rid of Forbes and put my business in for what it's worth.
Oh, yes, Gordon.
I really could do big things. I'll be backed financially by the Van Dyke interests.
Exactly, Mr. Smith.
Excuse me.
Oh, come in, Forbes. Oh, we were just talking about you, Mr. Forbes.
I'm compelled to make a little announcement. I merely wish to tell you, on top of everything else, that my wife's diamond necklace has disappeared.
Disappeared?
In view of the fact that it took place in this house, I thought you might have a sentimental interest.
Don't you dare accuse Henry of stealing anything.
Dulcie.
Henry? Who's Henry?
Yeah, well,
Dulcie, quiet.
No, Gordon, I'm not going to stand here and listen to him make insinuating remarks about my servants. Henry is perfectly honest. His honesty has been proven. He's been paroled 7 times.
Oh. Well, that's very interesting. Where is this man?
Why, he's not here. He asked me if I'd let him take the evening off, and I said yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. You've been a great help.
Mr. Forbes, please. We'll get the necklace back, and if we don't, I'll make good for it. Now, let's sit down and talk it over.
There's nothing to talk over. And in the circumstances, I don't see how we can possibly go into business together. I don't like your methods. The merger is definitely off.
But, Mr. Forbes...
I'm sorry, but that's my decision.
Wait, Mr. Forbes. Before you freeze me out, I want to tell you that Mr. Van Dyke here has agreed to back me in an independent merger. A bigger one than yours.
What? Yes, Mr. Forbes, I have. But
you see? Now, am I still out?
Yes, Mr. Smith, you are.
Very well. Then I'm going to line up with Mr. Van Dyke and fight you. Fight you till one of us is forced to the wall. I'll teach you to take advantage of me.
Advantage? Who took advantage of you?
You did, by offering me less than you know my business was worth. Why, you knew I was in a hole, and now you're going to get just what you deserve. You're going to get a first-rate licking.
Oh, Gordy!
All right. Make your fine speeches. But when you talk about fighting, don't forget that I can fight, too. And before you win your... Not at all, not at all.
Oh, Gordon, you were wonderful.
I feel like a new man.
Oh, you see, I was of some use after all.
Use? You were magnificent. The best. The finest little wife in the world.
Oh, wasn't it lucky my finding Mr. Van Dyke?
Lucky. It was an inspiration.
Oh, and I am a real helpmate?
I should say you are.
Oh, Gordy. Oh, now who could that be?
Well, I'll answer it.
Good evening, Mr. Smith.
Good evening.
I'm sorry to intrude like this, but it's rather important. My name is Patterson, Blair Patterson.
Oh, the attorney?
Yes.
Well, come in.
Thank you. I was referred to you by Mrs. Kennedy.
Oh, across the street.
Yes. She said that you had guests. I just wondered if among them there was a Mr. Morgan.
Morgan? Oh, I know.
Well, is there Mr. Ford?
No, he's not here either.
Mr. Vanderbilt?
You Vanderbilt? Oh, no.
Well, let me ask you. Is one of your guests tall, good-looking, interested in various investments?
Oh, you mean Schuyler Van Dyke.
Schuyler Van Dyke. Yes, I think I do mean Schuyler Van Dyke. Mm-hmm. I'm his cousin. I've come for him.
Come for him?
Yes, his real name is Patterson, Horace Patterson. He has an hallucination that he's a millionaire.
What? You mean he's crazy?
Yes, a little. But harmless, I assure you.
Dulcie, he's crazy. Schuyler Van Dyke is crazy.
Well, then the company that he was... the merger that he had the money for, the merger that it isn't... it for... It can't fall. Oh, dear.
We pause for station identification. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This is KNX, the Columbia Station, Los Angeles.
Now, a momentary break in Dulcie, while George Burns and Gracie Allen prepare for the next stanza of our play. Here in Hollywood, Miss Hedda Hopper, one of the screen's brighter comediennes, is as successful socially as she is professionally. Her charming sophistication and delightful wit make her a popular guest at most screen colony functions. The end of the Lenten season has been the occasion for Hollywood's annual display of spring finery, and I've asked Miss Hopper to report tonight on what she's seen from the reviewing stand of Stardom's Easter Parade. Our guest is appearing in 3 films now in production: Topper, Dangerous Holiday, and Vogues of 1938. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Hedda Hopper.
Thank you so much, Mr. DeMille. Hollywood's Easter Parade really began Saturday night with the dinner given by Mr. and Mrs. Basil Rathbone to celebrate their 11th wedding anniversary. All the guests came as brides and grooms, and prizes were worn by Freddie March and his wife as Mr. and Mrs. Caveman, wearing a bit of tired leopard skin, and by Loretta Young as the bride of Mephistopheles. Molly Dietrich put on her tails and top hat and tucked Mrs. Lubitsch under her arm. Myrna Loy and her husband, Arthur Hornblow, came as peasants with headdresses 3 feet high, while Mr. and Mrs. Misha Auer became, for the evening, Mr. and Mrs. Misha Mouse. It was a typical Rathbone party, which means that about every important star in Hollywood was there, and what's more, had a grand and glorious time.
And stayed for breakfast?
No, we adjourned for ham and eggs to the home of Adrian, the noted designer. There again were all the stars, this time in their street costumes. And I must say that in their gay prints and tailor-mades, they looked like old-fashioned bouquets. Both Maureen O'Sullivan and Rosalind Russell proved how popular the new large black hats are, with their long, bright-colored ribbons flowing down the back. Maureen wore a black print dress splashed with brilliant colors, and Rosalind's dress resembled a mass of tulips. One of the guests of honor was the Rani of Sarawak, wife of the Rajah, but she preferred her traditional East Indian costume with many gold chains, jewels, and bracelets. I've been in Hollywood a good many years now and watched it become universally recognized as a fashion center. The annual studio cost for clothes is staggering. As you know, each has its own designers creating their individual styles, for competition is just as keen in them as in stories and stars. Yet when it comes to protecting this investment, every major studio seems to follow the same procedure. They all use Lux Flakes. All the major wardrobe departments here in Hollywood have the same reason I myself have. It's a very practical one, too. Lux Flakes keep clothes new-looking so much longer. Colors emerge as they go in when you use Lux. And now, thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you, Miss Hopper. Dulcie, starring George Burns and Gracie Allen. It's early the next morning, and Blair Patterson, the lawyer who brought the calamitous news of Mr. Van Dyke's hallucinations, is in the living room straightening out his rumpled clothes after spending the night on the sofa. Down the stairs comes the happily demented Mr. Van Dyke, singing cheerfully.
Hello, Horace.
What? Oh, why, Blair, what in the world are you doing here?
Oh, I just dropped in to say hello.
You can't fool me. You've come to make me leave. It's very, very embarrassing, Blair.
Well, if it's embarrassing for you, what do you think it is for me? I have a law practice to attend to. I'm getting a little tired of these excursions.
Well, I wish you'd leave me alone. At least half a dozen times during the past few years you've interrupted me in business negotiations that were exceedingly interesting.
Mm-hmm. You've been up to something here, Horace?
Well, yes. I've been representing my Van Dyke interest. We had all sorts of wonderful things planned. My share alone would have been $8.5 million. Besides, we were going to play golf and go horseback riding. I love horses.
Horace, how many times have I told you that I represent the Van Dyke interests? Now you must let me handle it. You come back to town with me and we'll talk it over.
But I can't leave now.
I'm sorry, Horace, but you know our agreement. Unless you do as I say, I'll never go through with that $200 million airplane company of ours.
Oh, well, all right, Blair.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mrs. Smith.
Well, how do you feel this morning, Mr. Van Dyke?
Very melancholy. I'm afraid I must go back to town.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Still, it's all for the best. You must have some breakfast first, though.
Thank you. I'll go and have it right away. It's hard to do high finance on an empty stomach.
He can't have breakfast, can he, Mr. Patterson?
Oh, yes.
Well, I had some soft-boiled eggs prepared for him, some soft milk toast, all very soft, you know. Is that all right?
Oh, yes. I think that'll be very nice, Mrs. Smith. Thank you.
No, don't mention it, Mr. Patterson. Hello, Gordon, darling.
Hello. Good morning, Mr. Patterson.
Good morning, Mr. Smith.
Have you seen your cousin?
Yes, we had quite a talk. By the way, you haven't mentioned anything to your guests, have you? I mean, it would be rather embarrassing.
No, nobody knows a thing. So far as they know, he's Schuyler Van Dyke himself.
Fine. That's fine. Well, thank you very, very much. And now I think I better go and keep an eye on him. You never can tell what big merger he'll attempt next.
Yes.
Excuse me, Mrs. Smith.
Oh, certainly.
Dulcie.
Yes, dear?
Dulcie, I want to speak to you.
Yes, of course. What about, darling?
What about? Do you realize what's happened?
Well, I don't know. I think... Oh, Gordon, I didn't mean...
Wait.
Yes, darling.
Do you know what Forbes is going to say to me when he learns who Van Dyke really is?
No.
He's going to laugh in my face. I'll never get him to change his mind about the merger now. He thinks he's been made a fool of, and he's right.
But we haven't really done anything to him just because we asked for more.
Oh, it wasn't our asking for more.
Oh, you mean the jewels disappearing?
Yes, and his daughter disappearing, too.
Oh, it was me again. It was me as usual. Oh, Gordon, how will it all end?
If Forbes finds out that Van Dyke is crazy, he'll probably force me out of business. I'll have to start all over again. Without a cent.
And without me?
Dulcie, I love you. I'll always love you, but you're like a child. You don't stop to think.
Oh, I guess I don't, Gordon. I only think. Oh, darling, I'll let you go if you want me to. I'm just all wrong. I'm a false note. I've always wondered how I was able to make a man like you care for me. It seems so silly for a man like you ever to love a false note.
Dulcie, you're not a false note. You're a melody. A whole tune, but, I don't know what to do.
Well, maybe I can reform.
I doubt it.
Oh, Gordon, please let me try. I'll promise that I'll never interfere with your business affairs again. I'll change completely. I'll revolutionize myself.
Dulcie, I don't want you to change. I love you just as you are. I simply want you to let me handle my own affairs in my own way. If you can promise to do that...
Oh, yes, Gordy, I promise, and I'll keep it, too. I will.
Thank you, Dulcie. I hope I'm not wrong this time.
Good
morning, Mrs. Smith.
Oh, Mr. Forbes, I've been looking for you.
Really? Mrs. Smith, I have a slight apology to make. We found my wife's necklace.
Oh, there, you see?
Your butler found it and put it away for safekeeping. He returned it to Mrs. Forbes this morning.
Oh, I'm so glad. Now, I have an apology, too, Mr. Forbes. I'm sorry about the elopement, Mr. Forbes. And I'm sorry about the business deal, too, but it's going to come out all right.
I should think it would. For your husband, backed by the Van Dyke millions.
The Van Dyke millions, but Mr. Forbes...
As a matter of fact, I'm inclined to regret my hasty decision of last night. If I had known before that Mr. Van Dyke was interested...
Oh, but that's just it. He isn't interested. I mean, he is, but he can't be.
What is all this?
Well, you see, Gordon will go in with you after all because Mr. Van Dyke... Well, Mr. Van Dyke just isn't Mr. Van Dyke.
What? What's that?
Well, no, he has something wrong in his head. He only thinks he's a millionaire.
Oh, I see.
So everything's all right now, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Splendid, yes. Where's your husband now, Mrs.
Why,
Smith?
he's in the library. Would you like to see him?
Yes, very much.
Well, come along. It's right this way, Mr. Forbes. Oh, I just knew everything would turn out all right. Well, here we are. Gordon, darling.
Elsie?
I've just fixed it with Mr. Forbes, darling.
What?
Yeah, everything's fine now.
Dulcie, what did you say?
A great deal, Mr. Smith. She told me about Mr. Van Dyke.
She took... Did you, Dulcie?
Yeah, of course, dear. I told you I'd straighten everything out.
You certainly have. Well, Mr. Forbes, then of course you know that Mr. Van Dyke...
Yeah, I know. But it won't work, Mr. Smith. It won't work.
Huh?
Oh, I'll admit that Mrs. Smith is a clever woman. A very clever woman. But it won't work. A Van Dyke, not a Van Dyke.
No, but Mr. Forbes, he really
Shut
isn't.
up, Dulcie.
Oh, yes, dear.
I saw through the whole thing at once, Mr. Smith. You began to be sorry you told me about the Van Dyke merger, and you wanted to throw me off the trail. Huh? Well, you can't do it. I know what's in the wind, and I'm going to hold you to our agreement.
Agreement?
Well, it was a verbal agreement. Now, as a gentleman, you agreed to come in with me for 16 2/3%, and you've got to do it. You've got to come in with me.
Well, all right, Mr. Forbes. I guess you win.
Oh, there, Gordon. Didn't I tell you I'd fix it for you?
Charlie, where are you?
Here I am, Eleanor. What do you want?
Oh, Charlie, she's here.
Who? Who's here?
Angela, she's come back.
Oh, how nice.
Angela, eh? Well, I want to speak to her.
Hello, Father.
Come here. Where have you been?
Oh, Father. What a question.
Oh, Angela, dear, are you married?
Of course I am.
Oh, she's married. She's married. Isn't that wonderful?
So you did it, eh? Where's your husband?
Yes, Angela, where's your husband?
Good morning, everybody.
Oh.
Hello, Belle.
Hello, Willie. Where's Vincent? Where's Mr. Leach? Oh, Angela, tell us.
I don't know, Mrs. Smith.
You don't know? Well, isn't that fine?
Well, Willie, for heaven's sake, what's happened to him?
Well, it's a long story, Dulcie.
Look here, young man. You helped to arrange this wedding, didn't you?
Yes, Mr. Forbes?
Well, don't you know where the groom is?
Sure. I'm the groom.
What?
Yeah,
What?
Willie, say that again.
Certainly, I am the groom.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Now, just a second, young man. Are you a genius?
No, sir.
Well, are you a writer of any kind, sort, or description?
I should say not.
Well, he's a broker, Mr. Forbes, and isn't it wonderful? That makes everything all right, doesn't it?
Well,
Oh, but what about Mr. Leach, Willie? Where is he?
I don't know. You see, we started from here all right last night, but down the road a piece, I suddenly thought my tail light was out. Well, Mr. Leach was kind enough to investigate for me, and somehow or other the car started off without him.
young fellow, you're all right. And darn clever, too.
Well, he's my brother. What would you expect? And wasn't it wonderful that I happened to invite him down here for this party?
Oh, so this is what you were working for, underneath all that Leach business.
What? Well, yes and no. Oh, I'm afraid you don't understand women very well, Mr. Forbes.
I'm afraid I don't.
But isn't it marvelous? Angela, a married woman, and Willie, a married man. Oh, I could almost cry. But, Mr. Forbes, about that merger, 16 2/3% isn't very much for a relation, brother-in-law.
Well, I wasn't very generous about that deal or very just either. Smith.
Yes, sir?
What do you say to coming in with me for 20%?
20? Oh, Mr. Ford.
All right, then. All right. If that's not enough, we'll make it 25.
25?
Dulcie, be quiet. 25 satisfies me.
Oh, does it? Well, if it satisfies you, Gordon, then it satisfies me. I didn't mean to interfere, dear, and I never will again. You know the old saying, a burnt child dreads the fire? Well, I've been burned, and once bitten, twice cautious. Oh, well, you get the idea, don't you, darling?
And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings down the curtain on our play, but not on Burns and Allen, who return for an encore a little later. As you have seen, we were concerned tonight with a party that almost turned out all wrong. And now we're going to extend our stage from Hollywood to New York for a little advice from a hostess famous the world over, because her parties always turn out all right, Miss Elsa Maxwell. Miss Maxwell has entertained notables the world over. There's hardly a famous person she doesn't know. Right now, she's finishing preparations to attend the coronation in England. And so, to check up on the ways of a perfect hostess, we take you to New York and Elsa Maxwell.
Unexpectedly introduced Noel Coward to Queen Mary of Romania at a party. They certainly were as opposite as the poles, but they got on so well that Her Majesty, at last turning a reflective eye on the witty author, said, "Why couldn't you become my gentleman in waiting?" Noel, delighted, replied, "I fear that would be no novelty, Your Majesty. I have been waiting all my life." "But not in Romania," flashed Her Majesty, and Noel was floored. Don't think it takes a lot of money to run a good party. It's having fun that matters, and fun is the same anywhere, whether you're on Main Street or Park Avenue. A good laugh is worth $1 million, and you can afford it just as well on $25 a week as on $2,500. After all, the nicest things in life don't cost the most. That goes for Lux Flakes, too. They're used in my house, and there isn't anything finer. Yet you can buy them for a few cents. Women who dress on nothing a year or women who spend thousands are all fans for Lux Flakes. Lux keeps dresses and lingerie from looking old and tired. It's a sort of pep bath for your clothes. Pep is a thing that makes parties go. It's more important than money. Now, I've given parties on a shoestring all my life. All you need is an idea which allows people to escape from their everyday selves. You can ask people to come dressed as their opposites or as themselves or their pet hates or anything. A successful party is as simple as that. One of the best times I ever had was when I went to a stag party dressed as Professor Albert Einstein. I talked with a German accent all evening until the party was over. Groucho Marx and Clark Gable, two of my most intimate friends, actually didn't know who I was. The following night, I met the great scientist at Charlie Chaplin's. He frowned at me. "Well, I heard you was me last night." "Physically, yes, but not mentally, Herr Doctor," I replied, trembling. "Perhaps it was better the other way," he thundered, and I felt crushed. Remember, for bigger and better parties, let your guests escape from their troubles. Have a surprise up your sleeve, and don't feel you have to be extravagant. And I'll guarantee the best party in the world. Thank you, and goodbye.
From Hollywood, Miss Maxwell, we send our transcontinental thanks. George Burns tells me that Gracie has something very nice to say about our product. So here they are, ladies and gentlemen, George Burns and Gracie Allen.
Oh, thank you, Mr. DeMille. I certainly have something nice to say about Lux Flakes. I think they're delicious.
Delicious? Lux Flakes, delicious?
Yes, my brother had them for breakfast this morning.
Is he mad?
Well, he must be. He was foaming at the mouth.
Don't pay any attention to her, Mr. DeMille. She's nuts. She's probably the only woman in the world who's living with a cracked brain.
Oh, please, George. Mr. DeMille isn't interested in who I married.
I say.
Mr. DeMille, I made up a play. Here it is. See what it says? Written by Gracie Allen. It's going to be...
Written by Gracie Allen?
Yes.
Gracie, if it were my play, it wouldn't say Roten.
Well, no, neither would the critics. They'd say, play rotten by George Burns.
I say.
Written, rotten, rotten Gracie, you don't know English.
Oh, Mr. DeMille, you don't know George's plays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, what's the name of your play?
Well, it's a love story called Life Begins at 36.
Oh, you mean life begins at 40?
Well, that's what it was originally, Mr. DeMille, but my agent took off 10%.
Yes. You see, our agent must be on a diet.
Well, anywho,
Yeah.
George and I will act it out, and you see if it has any possibilities. Now, George, you and I are lovers, and I start to make love to you.
And what character do I play?
Well, you play the part of a clubman.
Oh, you mean a large man?
Well, not too large, not too small.
I say. Sort of,
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, anywho, I'm Violet Ray, a movie extra, and George, you're Montgomery Ward, my lover.
Thanks.
And you're jealous of your rival, Sears Roebuck.
I suppose he comes driving up in his catalog.
I don't get it.
Well, let's start this silly play.
Now, watch it, Mr. DeMille.
Yes.
All right, George, here's your part. Act.
All right, now for some acting. Do you love me, Vi? Vi, do you love me? Vi, do you love me?
Well, why shouldn't I love you?
Ah, men are fools to love.
What did you say, Montgomery?
I said men are fools to love.
Well, I guess you're right, but who else is there for us girls to love?
That's very good, Gracie, but we did one play tonight.
Yeah. Oh, did we?
Well, good night, Mr. DeMille. Come on, Gracie.
Oh.
Now I know why George Burns.
Thank you, George Burns and Gracie Allen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your announcer, Melville Ruick. A most important message concerning next week's program will be given by Mr. DeMille in just a moment. Assisting our stars tonight were John Davidson as Schuyler Van Dyke, Victor Rodman as Blair Patterson, Joe Franz as Henry, and Leora Thatcher as Mrs. Forbes. Burns and Allen will be seen next in the Paramount picture, Artists and Models. Mr. DeMille also appeared through courtesy of Paramount, and Louis Silver's 20th Century Fox, where he was in charge of music for the new film, 50 Roads to Town. Now, before Mr. DeMille tells you about next week's presentation of the Lux Radio Theater, we have a brief announcement. Next Monday, April 5th, marks the beginning of a very important week, National Retail Grocers Week. Be sure to go personally to your grocers during that week. You will be well repaid. Splendid values will be featured generally over a wide list of products which you use regularly. Incidentally, you will find in the great majority of stores from coast to coast special values on Lux Flakes and Lux Toilet Soap. Once again, our producer.
Of the many novels written against a background of the World War, few carry such tremendous appeal as Ernest Hemingway's masterpiece, A Farewell to Arms. It made a remarkable play as adapted by Lawrence Stallings, a sensational motion picture. And next Monday night, from the Lux Radio Theater, we bring you this magnificent love story starring one of the most celebrated personalities the screen has ever known, Mr. Clark Gable. We shall hear Mr. Gable as Lieutenant Henry, and I'm especially happy to announce that we've secured Miss Josephine Hutchinson for the part of Nurse Catherine Barclay and Adolphe Manjou for Rinaldi. Our sponsors, the makers of Lux Flakes, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday night when the Lux Radio Theater presents Clark Gable, Josephine Hutchinson, and Adolphe Manjou in A Farewell to Arms. This is Cecil B. DeMille saying good night to you from Hollywood.
Our stars next Monday night are Clark Gable, Josephine Hutchinson, and Adolphe Manjou in Ernest Hemingway's brilliant story, A Farewell to Arms. This is your announcer, Melville Ruick, bidding you good night on behalf of our sponsors, our stars, and guests. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Hellotion, my friends. The Heinz Honey and Almond Cream Program.
Vote for Gracie. Vote for Gracie. Vote for Gracie. Vote for Gracie. Vote for Gracie.
Starring George Burns and Heinz Honey Gracie Allen with Frank Parker, Ray Noble and his orchestra, and Truman Bradley speaking.
100 million strong. That's right, you can't go wrong. Vote for Gracie. Keep voting all day long.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
How's your campaign coming along?
Oh, fine. Only I've been getting a little impatient with Congress.
Impatient with Congress?
Yeah, where did they come off passing a law that you can only spend $3 million for your campaign fund?
Oh, yes. I saw that on the front page this morning.
Did you see the second page?
Uh-huh.
How did Dick Tracy make out?
He escaped again.
Oh, good.
Good.
$3 million for a campaign fund. Well, where can you go on that? Why, they spend more than that to run the government.
Gracie, stop worrying. The Republicans and the Democrats are limited to $3 million, too.
Yeah, but does Jim Farley have to spend $17 for a permanent?
Well, I wouldn't know.
And does Mr. Garner have to pay $10 for a snoot?
Well, you've got me. You've got me.
And does John L. Lewis have to spend $3 to have his eyebrows plucked?
Well, you've got me. I really wouldn't.
Do you know what's wrong with this program?
You've got me.
You guessed it.
You were tricked. I was tricked into that.
$3 million, Gracie, is enough to run any campaign.
Oh, yeah? Why, the last convention I went to, I wasn't even running, and it cost me $10,000 for tips.
$10,000 for tips?
Well, it was a Shriners convention, and I thought they were red caps.
Well, I'll bet were their fezzes red. And a badger, too.
Say, Gracie, exactly how much money have you got in this campaign fund of yours?
Oh, I've been getting checks from all over the country.
Really? How much have you got?
Oh, let me see now. 8 from Boston, 15 from Chicago.
Well, how much have you got altogether?
And 10 from Omaha, 18 from Philadelphia, 1 from East Philadelphia.
How much have you got, Gracie?
30 from New York, none from Brooklyn, and 3 from Akron.
How much have you got?
Well, altogether, I've got about 190 checks.
Well, that's a lot of money.
Oh, well, it would even be more if they were signed.
What good are unsigned checks?
Oh, they'll be signed.
They will, huh?
Oh, my brother's home working on them right now.
You haven't got a dime and you're upset about millions.
Oh, well, sure I'm upset. The government says that they'll allow you $3 million for a campaign fund, and so far they haven't sent me a nickel.
Gracie, I'll explain it.
So you'll understand it.
Yes. When they say that they allow you $3 million, they don't mean that they allow you $3 million. They mean you're allowed to have it if you have $3 million.
You feel all right, Daddy?
Quiet, Parker.
Hello, Pinky.
Hello. Say, Prez, I saw you at the Hollywood ballpark the other day, throwing out the first ball.
Oh, did you?
Yes, Gracie. I heard you open the Pacific Coast season.
Oh, yeah, and was I excited.
Really?
There I was with a hamburger in one hand and a baseball in the other, and I didn't know which one to throw.
Well, what'd you do?
Oh, what did I do? What could I do? After I'd eaten the baseball, I had to throw out the hamburger.
Tell me, was the catcher mad?
Oh, was he? He held the game up for 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Well, yes, it's hard to eat a hamburger through a mask.
Oh, yes. Those things get in your eyes.
Yes. Did you enjoy the game, Frank?
Oh, yes, I had a swell seat. Johnny Weissmuller couldn't go, so he gave me his seat.
Oh, where was it?
Up in a tree.
Must have been very uncomfortable.
No, I was sitting on a bird's nest.
Sitting on a bird's nest?
Yeah, one of them bit me in the second inning.
Oh, George.
Ago, the bird died.
George, there certainly were a lot of celebrities at the ball game. Robert Taylor was in a box, and George Raft was in another box, and I had the box of honor.
Box of honor?
Yeah, it was full of Cracker Jack.
Full of Cracker Jack? It's the kind that have those little prizes in them.
Yes, one had a little tin whistle, and oh, it was delicious.
Delicious?
You said it.
Oh. You can also whistle for your campaign fund, too.
Oh, don't worry about me. I'll get the $3 million, even if I have to accept it from strangers.
Strangers, huh?
Gracie, it's very simple. Just go to one of those loan companies that advertise on the radio. They'll loan you $3 million and no questions asked.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. I wonder how much interest they'll pay me.
Well, my trumpet player is thinking of going down there to get some money.
Well, maybe he's got collateral.
No, he's got asthma, but you can't hear it when he's playing trumpet.
Well, on him it looks good.
Maybe I can get my campaign money from your fans, George.
$3 million from my fans?
Well, that's not very much. It's only $1 million apiece.
And And I thought I had 4 fans.
You lost one. Singing ain't misbehaving,
Yeah,
remember?
sing it again.
Say, Gracie, I'll tell you how to raise the money for your campaign fund. You know, when you use the $1 bottle of Heinz Honey and Almond Cream, you save a lot of money.
Uh-huh.
So you get 10 million people in your party using it, and at the end of the week, you know what you've got?
What?
Soft
white
hands.
I thought so, yeah. I don't know about your party, but it'll certainly keep your hands out of the red.
Thank you.
Thank you.
George, did you know that Sally Rand is campaigning for me?
Sally Rand?
Well, you should have heard her the other night making a speech. She got up and she said, "My fans, and you are my fans."
Oh, your fans?
Yes.
Well, that covers everything.
Well, doesn't it?
Gracie. I say, Gracie, if you went around barefooted, you wouldn't have all these financial troubles.
Barefooted?
Oh, rather. I read where John D. Rockefeller started out as a barefoot boy, and he wound up with hundreds of millions.
Yes. But he had a few oil projects on the side.
Well, with all that money, he could have gone to a doctor and had them removed.
Probably wouldn't hurt a bit.
Well, anyway, I'm not going to worry about it. If I can't get $3 million for my campaign fund, I'll just have to get along on $2.5 million.
Yeah. Just rough it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Say, Gracie, when you get to the White House, what are you going to do with your family?
Well, my little nephew can stay in the Library of Congress, and my uncle will live at the Smithsonian Institute.
Nice place.
And, I know my brother will just love the mint. And my sister...
Your uncle in the Smithsonian
Yes,
Institute?
and my sister...
That's a museum.
Well, that'll be a nice change for my uncle. You see, for the past 7 years, he's been living in a broom closet.
In a broom closet?
Yeah, but 3 years ago, he came out to make a personal appearance on We the People.
I see. And went right back into the broom closet. Yes.
You know, a very funny thing happened to me in Washington. I went to a very swanky affair, and I had one of those red, green, and yellow diplomatic sashes across my chest, and they kept calling on me to make a speech.
Well, why didn't you make a speech?
Because I'm not a diplomat.
Well, then why didn't you take off the sash?
I couldn't. It was holding up my pants.
Yes, and it wouldn't look very nice for a diplomat to be without his portfolio.
Oh, my uncle it would.
Oh, yes, the one that lives in the broom closet.
Yeah, with the vacuum cleaner.
With a vacuum cleaner?
Yeah, he's a Hoover man.
Oh, he is.
Well, can you beat that? They say some of the new Paris dresses have skirts padded with cushions of horsehair. Well, I hope they're not as scratchy as those old-fashioned horsehair sofas. Horsehair furniture feels like chapped sandpapery hands, so rasping and unpleasant to touch. Now, if your hands are rough and chapped this minute, be sure to use Heinz Honey and Almond Cream before you go to bed tonight. Heinz is extra creamy, extra softening, and contains 2 vitamins, A and D. Every drop of this grand, creamy emulsion helps coax a beautiful smoothness back to your poor, chapped hands. Thousands of women who use Heinz regularly boast about having soft, smooth hands in spite of doing their own housework. Heinz is good for children's hands and faces and legs, too. Their tender skin gets chapped so easily, in raw wind. So give their hands the creamy comfort of Heinz the moment they come indoors. You can get Heinz Honey and Almond Cream at the nearest toilet goods counter in 10, 25, 50 cent, and dollar sizes. Remember, it's Heinz, spelled H-I-N-D-S, for softer, smoother hands. Now, Frank Parker.
Thanks, Drew. Tonight I'm going to sing a song that's an oldie, but a goodie. Back in 1931, Gus Arnheim wrote a beautiful song entitled Sweet and Lovely. Remember it? There's sweetness in the call of the woodland dove as his love song echoes through the trees. There's sweetness in the rose with its symbol of love floating on a summer breeze. But nothing can compare to the sweetness of the one and only one I love. Sweet and lovely, sweeter than the roses in May. Sweet and lovely, heaven must have sent her my way. Skies above me never were as blue as her eyes, and she loves me. Who would want a sweeter surprise? when she nestles in my arms so tenderly. There's a thrill that words cannot express. In my heart a song of love is haunting me. Melody haunting me.
That number was for Sam and Edna, for Harriet, Elsie, and Joe, for Mabel, Becky, and Agnes, for little Mickey O'Toole, who'll be 2 years old next February, and for the girls in the pool room.
You, too, can have a new spring outfit like Smiling Frankie Parker is wearing. Complete with hat, suit, overcoat, shoes, 3 pairs of socks, double-breasted undershirt and watch, all for $3.85. Yes, sir.
George.
Hey, yeah?
George, who's the man Gracie's talking to over there?
I don't know. She's probably trying to get $3 million for a campaign fund.
Hey, it sounds like that, doesn't it?
Well, Miss Allen, I don't think I'll have any trouble raising it. I've raised it before, and I don't see why I can't do it again.
Well, how long do you think it'll take?
Well, it all depends on a lot of things. I'll go out and start working on it right now.
Good. The sooner you start, the sooner you'll raise it.
That's right.
Gracie, who's that?
The elevator boy. His elevator's stuck in the basement.
So was your campaign.
Say, Gracie, I typed that speech for you. Thanks, Bubbles. But, you know, I had a little trouble with the typewriter. Some of the O's are upside down.
What speech?
And you'll notice, Gracie, I've got farmers in caps. Farmers in caps? Well, I always thought they wore straw hats.
Look, don't tell me that you're going to make a speech.
Just to the farmers.
Dewey and Garner made a speech to the farmers last week.
Oh, copycat.
Yeah, they stole the stuff you haven't done yet.
Now for my speech. Farmers, farmers' wives, and Sammy Cohn.
Sammy Cohen?
Yeah. Oh, pardon me, it's semicolon.
Semicolon. That little dark fella.
Yeah, well, I'll start again. Farmers, farmers' wives, farmers' sons, farmers' daughters, hired hands, and tractor salesmen.
What about the boys in the back room?
See what they'll have.
Truman, see what they'll have.
My subject tonight is the care and feeding of farmers and how to cook it.
How to cook it?
My opponents have said that they're going to fight me until the cows come home. Oh, so they admit the cows aren't home. Oh, why aren't the cows home? Because they don't like conditions on the farm. The cows are smart. They're not coming home until there's a woman in the White House.
I see. Well, how do you, Gracie, what I'd like to know is how do you know what the cows think about?
Bubbles tells me everything.
Oh, go ahead. Go right ahead.
So, if you farmers want contented cows, have your wives knit each cow a glove. And in that way, my friend...
one glove for each cow?
Well, sure, so that when the cow isn't being milked, it can keep its fingers warm.
I guess you fingered that out by yourself.
Oh.
How do you like that, Frank?
Cocktails for two.
Cocktails for two?
Yeah, it's drinks.
It does,
So, my friend...
Gracie, when you're through, can my drummer have a copy of your speech? He's a farmer, you know.
Why doesn't he listen to it?
Oh, he can't right now. He's reading Rebecca.
Well, have him read it out loud. It'll help the farmers more than the speech.
Oh, right.
So, my friends, what the American farm needs is the touch of a woman's hand. Therefore, I say the hand that rocks the cradle should pull the plow.
That's what you say.
Yes. Friends, it's women who have made history. You said it.
Yes.
When Romeo drank the poison, who got the nickel back on the bottle?
Jack Bennett?
No.
I'm wrong.
No. After Julius Caesar was stabbed, who darned up the holes in his sweater?
Mary Livingston.
No.
I'm wrong again.
When Paris gave Helen of Troy a wooden horse, who put $2 out its nose?
Bing Crosby.
No.
Wrong again.
When Napoleon was losing at Waterloo, who was Josephine playing rummy with?
Well, who?
Oh, don't ask me. Write to your congressman.
I say. Well, what are you trying to prove? That women should run the farm?
Well, the least they could do is have scarecrows wear dresses instead of pants.
Oh, that's a nice compromise.
Oh, thanks. I got it at Bullock's.
Oh, and it's pretty, too, yeah.
Say, Gracie, I think you're overlooking a big point. What the farmers need most is water.
Bubbles, make a note of that. All right.
Have you forgotten what Secretary of Agriculture Wallace said when he addressed the farmers during the drought?
Oh, what did he say?
Greetings, Gate. Let's irrigate.
That's what Yehudi keeps telling him down at the office when he ain't neat.
So, my friends, I could point out several things that are wrong with farm conditions, but it isn't polite to point.
Yes, so you won't.
The trouble with farms today is they're overcrowded. Asparagus only has standing room.
And mushrooms are living in cellars.
Yes.
I thought so, yes.
Gracie, my drummer won't be able to let his wife run his farm.
Why not?
Well, she ran away with a hired man about a week ago.
Oh, that's awful.
Oh, it's even worse than that, Grace. The hired man is the only one that can run the threshing machine.
Well, what's your drummer going to do about it?
Oh, not a thing until he finishes reading Rebecca.
Oh, now, please, boys. The farmers are waiting for the finish of my speech.
So are we.
Friends, the following are a number of things that women will do for the farms. Number one, we'll put a chalk mark in every chicken coop. Number
chalk
two,
mark in every chicken coop?
so the hens can lay it on the line.
Really, down wide of them.
Say, Gracie, why don't you have milking stools with rumble seats so that the cows can sit down, too?
Cows can sit down. Bubbles, pull up a chair. Like that one, Frank?
Dodo bird.
Dodo bird?
Extinct.
It did. Gracie, your speech.
Oh, number three, bustles for farmers' wives.
Wait a minute. What's that? Who's that?
Oh, that's my drummer who's been reading Rebecca.
Oh, and he just found out about his wife running away, huh?
Oh, no.
What's he crying about?
Oh, the book has a sad ending.
Gracie, your speech, please.
Well, number three, bustles for farmers' wives, so that they can be well dressed and have something to carry the coal in at the same time.
What for?
2 and 2.
Oh, I always thought it was 3 and 1.
Oh, well, you see.
I'm wrong.
And in conclusion, my farmer friends, it has always been my custom to leave my audience in a good mood. So,
Gracie, what's that?
I'm leaving in a good mood.
I say,
Well, George has been trying to convince Gracie that the public thinks her presidential campaign is silly. So we've got a microphone out in front of the studio, and we're about to interview the man in the street. Now, step back, ladies and gentlemen. Will you step back and get us some room? Thank you.
Everybody. What's your name, mister?
Who, me?
No, you.
My name is Benny V. Rubin.
Oh, what does the V stand for?
Volter.
Hot Volta or cold Volta?
Oh, please, George. Mister, who do you think will be the next president?
Why change? Isn't McKinley doing a good job? Volta probably hasn't seen today's paper, Volta.
Oh, George, give the gentleman 2 tickets to Gorman's Chinese and a box of Mars bars.
Gracie, let me ask these questions.
Next gentleman, what's your name, mister? Harriet Brown.
I'll take care of her, Gracie.
Step away, Frank. Miss, I've been trying to prove a point. Have you heard anything about Gracie Allen's campaign for president?
Oh, yes, I'm going to vote for her.
Oh, George, give the girl 2 pounds of coffee.
Quiet. Miss Brown, do you really think that Gracie Allen has a chance of being elected?
Do I? And I bet this girl does, too, don't you, miss?
Do I? Oh, I certainly do.
Well, this is fine.
George, give Gracie 2 pounds of coffee.
Quiet, Bubbles.
Say, here's a nice-looking young man here.
Oh, he's pretty hot, too.
How do you do?
Oh, well, I didn't catch your name, but my name is Gracie Allen.
Say, aren't you the girl?
Oh, I certainly am. You're not bad yourself.
Look, Gracie.
So where do you live?
In Pasadena, but
Oh, I'll be glad to, but I have to be home by 12 o'clock.
Gracie, let me do the talking.
Oh, it's awfully nice of you to say that, mister. George, give the gentleman 2 pounds of coffee.
Mister, are you a Republican or a Democrat?
He is. George, take back the coffee.
Gracie, we haven't got any coffee.
Say, are you nuts?
Yes, and I'm his partner, Gracie Allen.
Stop rubbing it in.
Say, Gracie, here's a little boy 6 years old who knows all about your surprise party.
You betcha, and I'm going to vote for you, Gracie.
Well, thanks, Sonny.
Hey, who's that guy
Oh,
over
that's
there?
George.
Oh, I know. That's your party mascot.
The party mascot is a kangaroo.
Gee whiz, he talks, too.
Oh, that's cute. George, give him 2 pounds of Ovaltine.
I'll give him a hot foot in a minute. Imagine mistaking me for a kangaroo.
Well, that's because you've got that cigar stuck in your pouch.
There must be one intelligent person in this crowd.
Coming. I say, Gracie, I couldn't get anybody to be interviewed, but I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Oh, good. What's your name?
Raymond O. Noble.
Well, what does the O stand for?
Volta.
Volta. Can you imagine what I stand for?
Yeah. Mr. Noble, where are you from?
Oh, the crowd over there.
That's the spot, yes.
Well, now, why do you think I'll be the best president?
Well, now, that's a coincidence. You know, I asked myself the same thing the other night.
And what did you answer yourself?
Well, I really don't know. Now that I'm an American, it's very difficult for me to understand an English accent, you know.
Oh, George. Give the gentleman 2 pounds.
2 pounds of what?
2 pounds of flesh. He can use it.
You said it.
Step aside, one side there. Just step aside there. This way, sweetheart. Oh, Gracie, here's a young lady from Erie, Pennsylvania. Her name is Florence Gould. Her phone number is Federal 8388, and she's going to vote for you, aren't you, honey?
And how?
Come on, baby. I told you I was going to put you on the radio.
Frank, where are you going?
I don't have to tell you anymore, do I, brother?
Oh, go away.
Pardon me, Miss Allen. I've noticed you're interviewing a lot of people about your campaign, and I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Oh, well, all right, but only 2 at a time.
Is your administration going to do away with the New Deal?
No, I'm going to continue the New Deal. But to make it more exciting, I'm going to have Deuces Wild.
Except repairs and flushes.
Yes.
How do you feel about the youth movement?
Oh, I just love it. Jitterbugging is my favorite stuff.
Oh, yes.
Are you going to do anything with the SEC, NLRB, WPA, CCC, CIO, or AFL?
Oh, no, my good man. I haven't played with blocks since I was a baby.
Oh, Miss Allen, what do you think of the Wagner Act?
Oh, well, it's all right, but my favorite act is Olson and Johnson.
Have you anything to say about Secretary Hull's reciprocal trade agreement?
Well, no, but I'd have plenty to say about it if I knew what it was.
Look, let me handle this. Mister, would you step up to the microphone, please?
Yes, sir.
Are you in favor of the surprise party?
Well, my wife says I'm a Republican.
Would you elect a woman to the presidency?
I'll have to ask my wife.
Well, do you think a woman president would be better than a man president?
I've never heard my wife say.
Your wife? Haven't you got a mind of your own?
Yes, sir.
Well, where is it?
Standing over there in the blue dress.
Oh.
Oh,
George. I'll interview his wife.
That's a swell idea, Gracie. And say, ask her about Einthe, Unihe, and Omde Imcre.
Oh, yes. Madam, I've been admiring your beautiful hands. What makes them so soft and smooth? My husband does all the housework.
Oh.
George, give the man 2 pounds of soap chips in a dish bag.
Well, here's a nice-looking gentleman. One at a time.
No. You. Where were you from?
Well, I travel a lot, Missy. As a matter of fact, I just come from Omaha.
Oh, that's where we're holding our surprise party convention.
Oh, yes. My niece wrote me all about it.
Oh, did she?
It's going to be held May 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th.
That's right.
They're running a special Union Pacific train to take the party from Los Angeles to Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have torchlight parades, and 25,000 men are raising whiskers.
Well, your niece certainly must be a smart girl.
She is. And so are her sisters, Bessie, Hazel, and Pearl.
Yeah, Bessie, Hazel, and why, Uncle Charlie!
And now, Truman Bradley, the Heinz handyman.
Gracie wants to send you a copy of her campaign song, Vote for Gracie. Yes, you get the sheet music, complete with the verses and a big picture of Gracie right on the cover, wearing her campaign hat. Now, here's all you have to do to get the song. Just write your name and address clearly on the back of a Heinz Honey and Almond Cream carton and mail it to Gracie Allen, Hollywood, California. It's okay to send just one Heinz carton in the 25-cent size, the 50-cent size, or the dollar size. But if you use the 10-cent size, be sure to send 2 cartons. Every time you use Heinz on your hands, notice how much softer and smoother your skin looks. Isn't it amazing the way Heinz lotion makes chapped, rough housework hands look smoother and prettier right away? Of course, it's not amazing in another way, because Heinz is really extra creamy, extra softening, and contains 2 vitamins, A and D. You expect Heinz to be good? Take good care of your hands with Heinz Honey and Almond Cream, and make good use of your Heinz carton. Mail it with your name and address to Gracie Allen, Hollywood, California, and you get in return an actual copy of her campaign song, Vote for Gracie. Remember, 1 carton in any larger size will do, but if you use the 10-cent size, then send 2 cartons. Here's the address again. Gracie Allen, Hollywood, California.
Thank you, True. And now Gracie will sing Pizzicato Polka. Sing it.
The pizzicato polka is a thrill. It stirred me once, I know it all was still. They played the polka for us long ago. And since that time, as you must surely know, I do adore you so. Indeed, the dear old polka that we knew affects me still in all the things I do. And so the pizzicata is a sort of obligata to the feeling that I've got to be with you. I'm absolutely certain you'll agree with me completely when I say that life is gay and more romantic day by day, because you see, the polka drew us closer at the start and helped to make it so we'd never part. My love may be staccato, but it's never moderato with the pizzicato polka in my heart. Is it legato to steal my heart-o and make me blush like a tomato? If I look blotto, what does it motto when you are so appassionato? My love is a crescendo, it will never end-o. Please pretend-o that you care. The pizzicato polka is a thrill. It stirred me once, I know it always will. They played the polka for us long ago. And though it was in winter, I looked out and there was no more snow. The polka drew us closer at the start and helped to make it so we'd never part. My love may be staccato, but it's never moderato with the pizzicato polka in my heart.
Now you can have a choice of 2 Heinz preparations for your hands. One is the famous Heinz lotion that pours from the bottle. The other is the brand new Heinz hand cream in jars. Like the famous lotion itself, this new Heinz hand cream helps to give you nice soft hands in spite of housework. It's surprisingly inexpensive, too. Only 10 cents and 39 cents a jar.
Well, Gracie, say goodnight.
Oh, good night. Oh, and when I'm in Washington, don't forget to drop in for dinner. And if I don't serve the best 60-cent dinner in Washington, may I never see a third term.
Good night, all.
Vote for Gracie. Vote for Gracie.
George and Gracie and all of us will be back again next Wednesday at this same time. Join us, will you? This is Truman Bradley saying good night for Heinz Honey and Almond Cream. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Hello, my friends. The Heinz Honey and Almond Cream program.
Vote for Gracie! Vote for Gracie! Vote for Gracie! Vote for Gracie! Vote for Gracie!
Starring George Burns and Gracie Allen with Frank Parker, Ray Noble and his orchestra, and Truman Bradley speaking.
Vote for Gracie! Keep voting all day long!
Presenting our presidential candidate who just flew back from Washington, where she was the honored guest at the Women's National Press Club's annual dinner, Heinz Honey Gracie Allen.
Thank you very much.
And now presenting her partner, who just got back from the opening of a meat market, George Burns.
Thank you, my friend, and you are my friend.
Oh, he is not. It's your brother Willie.
I noticed that suit looked familiar.
Say, Gracie, we're all dying to know what happened in Washington.
Well, it's a long story, so I'll tell it.
Good.
Now, I met Mrs. Dewey, Mrs. Vandenberg, Mrs. Burton Wheeler, Mrs. Bennett Champ Clark, and I met, what's her name now? Oh, I know it so well.
Does she live in Washington?
Yeah, in a big White House.
Mrs. Roosevelt?
Yes.
I thought so, yeah.
Oh, George, you should have been at that dinner.
What would I be doing there?
Well, all the wives of the other candidates were there.
Well, I didn't have what to wear.
You mean you had to stay home and watch the children?
Quiet. Gracie, you spoke at this banquet in Washington. What happened?
Yeah, tell us the details, Gracie.
Well, I got on the plane at Burbank.
Yes.
Oh, and what a plane. The cutest pilot you ever saw in your life.
Gracie, the banquet.
Oh, I'm coming to that.
Oh.
He had blue eyes and brown shoes.
Nice combination.
Yeah, wasn't he?
Yes. Say, Gracie, it was pretty cloudy that day. How was the visibility?
Oh, pretty fair. I was sitting on his lap, but he could see over my shoulder.
Gracie, the banquet.
I'm coming to that.
Say, George, if Gracie is elected, what are you going to do?
You think you're kidding, huh? I'm beginning to worry, too.
Well, don't worry. You can always write a column, and I can correct the spelling.
Well, thanks, kid.
Oh, and George, what a thrill I got. There we were flying 10,000 feet over the Grand Canyon, and the pilot let go of the controls and put both... Oh, you threaded, and I fell for him, too.
Gracie, did you ever get to Washington?
Well, where do you think I made that speech?
Speech?
Yes.
What speech?
At the banquet.
Well, what did you say?
Oh, coming to that.
Well, come to it.
And we flew over Texas. Freddie the pilot, you know... He's the pilot.
Oh, I know.
Well, he had a little trouble. He stuck his left hand out to make a left-hand turn and got it caught in the propeller.
Did he ever stick his right hand out?
Yeah, and Mr. Garner shook it for 20 minutes.
Well, that's fine.
I said, George, why is it that I always get dizzy when I'm up in a plane?
Well, Ray, it's the altitude that affects you.
Well, then why is it I'm dizzy when I'm not in a plane?
Maybe you were born that way.
Maybe you're right, old man. I know I was born.
Well, that's something.
Of course, I remember the stork made 7 trips with me.
7 trips?
Yes, my parents kept rejecting me.
Well, they shouldn't have given up so easily, and cheerio.
Oh, cheerio.
Cheerio.
Oh, George, isn't that Ray silly? You talk about one thing and he talks about something else.
But you're all right, huh?
Yes.
How about the speech?
Well, I didn't make that until I got tiny.
Oh, nuts.
So then we took off again and finally landed in Washington.
And you said goodbye to Freddie?
Yeah, but...
Well, did he give you a ring?
No, he couldn't afford a ring, so he gave me the plane.
Well, wear it in good health.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
And when I got off the plane, there were a lot of photographers there.
What happened?
Well, I took their pictures.
What about the new...
I interviewed them, too.
Did they ask you anything?
Did they? They kept firing questions a mile a minute.
What do they want to know?
Whether Myrna Law has really got red hair.
And did you tell them that heading to Ma has a 20-foot fence around the house?